to learn how writers blend dialogue and descriptive writing to help the reader to really imagine the moment. By the end of this lesson, you also should understand how to punctuate your dialogue correctly. So let's talk about why. Why do writers use dialogue in their narrative writing? Oftentimes, when I read students' narrative writing, I see moments like this. The drafts gossiped about the Kylie Jenner, Chris Scott breakup. Although, as a reader, I know what's happening, I can't imagine this moment. I really can't hear the conversation. And I want to. The reader of your text should be able to hear the conversation between the characters. Did you hear that Kylie Jenner and Travis Scott broke up? I know, I can't believe it. Don't they have a kid together? One of the powerful things about dialogue is that it allows the reader to really hear the conversation between between two or more characters in a story. So what does dialogue look like? For example, did you hear that Kylie Jenner and Travis Scott broke up? Gordy said. I know, I can't believe it, I replied. Don't they have a kid together? Jenny asked. I think so. Me too, said Gordy. So there are 3 things that I want you to notice about my dialogue. Number 1, I want you to notice that I put quotation marks around everything that a character says. For example, did you hear that Kylie Jenner and Travis Scott broke up is what Gordy says. So there are quotation marks around that. Number 2, I want you to notice that all of my punctuation goes inside the quotation marks. So that might be a comma, a question mark, or a period. It all goes inside the quotation marks. And then number 3, I want you to notice that if there's a new speaker, that I've started a new paragraph. So for example, here Gordy is speaking, and then here the narrator is speaking. So it's 2 separate paragraphs. The last thing I quickly want to teach you before we jump into the important technique for the day, how do we blend dialogue and descriptive writing, is what a dialogue tag is. A dialogue tag is the phrase before, in the middle, or after dialogue that lets you know who said it or how they said it. So for example, Gordy said is a dialogue tag. Gordy said, did you hear that Kylie Jenner and Travis Scott broke up? And it tells you how he said that. So here's the real question for the day. How do writers blend dialogue and descriptive writing? Because we don't want to just stop doing all of the work we've been doing the last several weeks, really working on exploding moments, using tons of imagery. We want to now blend that with our work with dialogue. So let's look at how writers do that. This is a piece by Gary Soto. It's called The School Play. So let's just read a short excerpt of it. And what I want to notice is I want to highlight the descriptive writing that Gary Soto uses and then how he blends that with the dialogue. Miss Bunyan, biting the end of her pencil, said, "Louder, both of you." So biting the end of her pencil really gives us a picture of Miss Bunyan as she harps at her students, "Louder, both of you." Belinda stepped up, nostrils flaring so that the shadows on her nose quivered. Notice that imagery and said, said, "Sucka, is there something wrong with your eyeballs?" "Nothing's wrong, I can see." "Louder, make sure the audience can hear you," Miss Bunyan directed. Notice that even Miss Bunyan directed. It's a dialogue tag, and yet it really helps paint a picture for us as a reader. It's descriptive details. She tapped her pencil hard against the desk. She scolded. "Robert, I'm not going to tell you again to quit fooling with the beard. It's itchy. We can't do anything about that. Actors need props. You're an actor. Now try again." So the technique I want you to play with today is how can you use everything that we've been working on, exploding a moment, imagery, writing in the moment, and then how can you blend dialogue among your descriptive details? So here's your flash draft for today. Choose one of the images that's in Schoology. You're going to write a flash draft that blends dialogue and descriptive writing. You have a notebook page that is going to help you with your punctuation. So don't worry, you don't need to remember how to punctuate your dialogue correctly. You have a notebook page that's going to help you with that. Get started.